What's going on, guys? It's Red Bull Tanker, and welcome to my first game of 2025. We are doing Axis and Allies Global, but this is going to be what we call 1939. This is a specific setup done by a gentleman named Oztea. He created the setup. He put it out on the Axis and Allies forums, and I picked it up and thought that this would be a fun one to try for the beginning of the 2025 so-called gaming season. So basically, Axis and Allies 1939 Global plays exactly the same as Axis and Allies Global 1940. Pretty much all the rules are the same. Yeah, pretty much all the rules are the same. And basically the game is just set back 2 turns. So the game is going to start in May 1939. I guess some quick. There were some overall changes to the game because you're starting back in 1939. So you have Poland, who's a pro-ally territory. Norway's pro-ally. Denmark is pro-ally. You have a couple of these. You have like the Baltic states, Viborg, and Persia, who are pro-Axis. And I am using German World War I pieces for Axis miners. Same here with Romania and Slovakia. And then I'm using British World War I pieces for specific pro-ally pro-allied pieces. And then the green Austrian here in Holland, Belgium represents the Dutch and the Belgians, who tried to stay neutral in the beginning, which means places like Holland, the Belgian Congo, and the Dutch East Indies are technically all strict neutral until like probably the Axis attack them, because obviously the Axis are pretty much going to attack them, in which then everyone goes, the entire Benelux faction territories go to pro-ally. But all the factions pretty much stay the same. There are some changes to the there are a few changes and updated national objectives, but I'm not going to go over those. Those are just way too much. Let's see here. I guess we could. So let's see. Some overall special rules. Starting off at the beginning of the game, the Russians technically, while they're not at war with Germany and Italy or Japan, they are at war with the Axis miners, or the pro-Axis miners. So Russia can attack the pro-Axis miners from the beginning of the game, and they can activate pro-allied neutrals, which means they could obviously walk into, say, Eastern Poland and activate that, even though Poland does not have any or East Poland doesn't have any ground troops. And then kind of like the U.S. over here in the East, like this Russian destroyer in C-Zone 5 pretty much can't leave C-Zone 5 or 4 until they go to war with Japan. Whoopsies. My flight stand is all screwy. Sorry. Let's see here. So that's basically a special rule for that. The United States, obviously, because this game backed up 2 turns, so the U.S. technically does not go to war until turn 5, unless the Axis attack them. Same pre-war naval rules apply. They basically have to stay in home water territories or hit territories that are, or end their movement in territories in C-zones next to American territories. Another thing, if Japan does attack the Dutch East Indies, or declares war on the Dutch and attack, well, basically if the Japanese declare war on the Dutch, the United States may join the war. They do have they can declare war against Japan if Japan declares war on the Dutch prior to turn 5. Italy. So a little change for Italy. Italy does not start this game out at war. Just like in actual history, Italy doesn't join the war until May 1940. So what is actually going to be the rule is Italy is neutral until Paris falls. Once Paris falls, then Italy can join the war unless the Allies declare war against Italy beforehand, which that is one national objective. If Italy does get, it's kind of similar to France. But basically, if the Allies declare war against Italy before Italy joins the war, Italy gets 12 IPC, gets a free 12 IPCs worth of units to deploy onto the Italian mainland. Let's see, do I have any other special rules? Oh, two special rules for China. One, factory. Oh, there's in this 1939 setup, Japan actually already starts with a minor in China. However, for these rules, any factories that are captured in China are not destroyed. They do remain, like, the Chinese can control factories, and when they control factories, they can build artillery out of, but that's it, just artillery. It's kind of like basically the same rule as the Burma Road. If the Chinese control a factory, they can build only artillery out of it. And then another China rule, which also kind of leads into a new Japanese objective. If, say, Japan were to conquer Hopei, so they captured that, and then they moved on and left Hopei open. So once per turn, China can drop 1 free infantry in an unoccupied enemy zone to represent Chinese guerrillas. So that way it basically forces Japan to have to keep troops in China, so to speak. So, and kind of see how that goes. Because China always seems to fall so fast, and then it's just a bunch of free IPC for Japan. So taking a guerrilla rule from another, the guerrilla rule actually comes from a different set of rule sets, but I wanted to try and incorporate it in here. But the one where they control factories, that one does come from Oztea. So that is pretty much all the special rules that I've got. Let's see here. What else? Like I said, I'm not going to go over his new national objectives. One thing that I am going to be playing with my buddy Airsoft Commando. I'm not sure if we're going to play with this rule, but he does have a rule where if Paris does fall in like the first 2 or 3 turns, you can activate the Vichy option, which at that point for Vichy, Southern France becomes like a semi-pro-axis neutral. Well, becomes a pro-axis neutral, and then for every single French territory and ship, you will roll for to see if they go to Free France or if they will go to the Vichy French. And then basically any Vichy territory becomes pro-axis territory the Axis can activate. However, if the Axis go in to open up southern France, then it reverts all the Vichy French to Free France. So I don't know if we are going to play with that one. But another rule is that France is still going to be able to, once Paris falls, Paris is going to act as a secondary French capital, where France will be able to, basically the Free French will use London as a capital, and they can collect and purchase out of London. However, it's tied with the Brits, so this is 10. 10 units can mobilize out of the United Kingdom, and it'll be split between the French and the British. So they have to really work together to figure out what they want to be able to purchase and place down in and around the United Kingdom. Let's see here. Other than that, coming down here, we are adding some new units to this. Oh, I forgot to get one. So some new units. So we are playing with the standard Axis and Allies Global 1940 tech, though some of it is different. And maybe I'll explain that later in another video. But so like if you unlock jet fighters are their own separate unit now. We're also playing with Marines, which, I mean, just for the U.S., I'm using their World War I pieces from 1914. And then we also have Airborne, which I got this U.S. Ranger piece and this British Airborne piece from Historical Board Gaming. And then I also have this transport aircraft that I have for almost every nation that will carry the paratroopers. And then also I do have self-propelled artillery pieces. I forgot to grab one out, but we are going to play with that too. So new units that are playing in this game are jets, transport aircraft, paratroopers, self-propelled artillery, and Marines. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. And then, like I said, we're still playing. We're going to be playing technologies. Technology will be a little bit different from regular 1940. It's going to be kind of based on the global war model that for every major factory you have, you get a dice to roll for technology. In this case, I'm doing every one major factory or every two minor you get to roll for technology. So no one has to pay for technology, but you still have to complete it. You have to basically win a roll 2 times. You basically have to win a technology twice before it is considered unlocked, and the dice rolls will. On the first time you try to do a technology, you have to get a 4, 5, or 6 to unlock stage 1. Then on the next turn or the subsequent turns, you have to roll a 5 or a 6 for completion. And then, like I said, say you unlock jet fighters, now you have a separate piece for those jet fighters. And then one other fun thing that we are going to do with this game, we are going to do it with D12s. I know I'm sorry about the glare, but we are going to play D12s, and I can't remember who on the Axis and Allies Facebook group showed off these awesome battle boards for D12s. So I printed them out, laminated them, and we are going to use these, even though we do not have all of the units that are technically on these cards, but we're going to use some of them. So we're going to try playing with D12, so that'll be pretty interesting too. I think that's it for right now. We'll be starting soon, and I think we're probably going to do what we normally do. Airsoft Commando is probably going to play the Axis forces, and I'm going to play all of the Allied powers. So we should be starting in a couple days, and then the first videos should start to come out then. Real quick, we are also, one other thing we are changing up, the turn order a little bit. We're going to play, I believe it was Grasshopper. It was Grasshopper's tournament rules, which basically it changes the turn order, and it basically goes Germany, Far East Command, Japan, Britain, Italy, China, Russia, the US, the Anzacs, and France. I think we're going to play with that turn order. I got to double check with Airsoft Commando, but either we're going to play with this turn order or we're just going to play with your standard 1940 turn order. So we'll just have to wait and see. We are also setting a turn limit to this game. 14 turns, which basically takes the game from May 1940 to, I believe, May 1946. So this game is going from 1939 to 1946. All right, well, that's going to be it for now, guys. Like I said, this is Oztea's Global War 1939 setup. And like I said, we hope to start soon. So until then, guys, as always, take care.